Hi guys, welcome to the public relations. Before getting started, my name is Nguyen Dat and this is my email address, and you can contact me via email address and I'll try to respond within 24 hours. Next thing you can contacting me is through contact number, and you can calling me or texting me, or you can use other platform to contacting me. So chapter 1, Introduction to Public Relations. Chapter objective. We're trying to identify the key definition of public relations used in practice today, which is where we're looking at the academic point of views and practitioner point of views to see how do they define public relations and what do they share in common and what is the differences between two of the definitions. Next thing what we're going to do is to recognize the debate around the natures of public relations and what it means. Trying to understand the social and cultural dynamics that led to the emergence of the professions. Before jumping into very details of public relations and the definition of public relations, you may wondering what will you become if you want to pursue such public relation jobs. So here is some of the jobs that you can pursue it as a career. So first of all, you can become an agency. You can be in-house PR for both private and public organizations. You can work under any government organization or government authorities, or you can work as a non-government organization, for example, charity organizations or non-profit organizations. Finally, I think that you can be able to work as a consultancy. So first of all, before we are jumping into the definition of public relations from the academic point of views, we trying to define what is public relations. So we're trying to break it down into two terms. Number one is publics. Number two is relations. And what is publics? Some of the definition can be deemed to be said that publics are small groups of people who follow one or more particular issues very closely. They're well informed about the issues and also have a very strong opinion on it or them. So by looking at the definition or by defining the definition in the way, we can see the public can be individual or they can be a group. And what they are trying to do is that they have interests with an entities, and they can be able to respond either positive or negative with the informations that an entities is published. So then next thing, what is the relations? We can define the relations is the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or things that affect on or relevant to others. So from that kind of definition, we can be able to say that the relation is a connection and they can be communications. And from the definition that I have been said, that thing's effect on or relevant to another, the communications might not be one way, but they can be two-way communications. So by looking at the individual's definition of the publics and relations, we can be able to say that public relations can be said as the communications between two or more parties that they're trying to build a mutual relationship, right? From these two separate definitions of public and relations, and I note down a certain key, you can see that it can be defined in the simplest way. But however, let's look at how the academic point of view they define. So from the academic point of view, public relations is a distinctive management function which helps establish and maintain mutual lines of communications, understanding, acceptance, and cooperation between an organization and its publics. Involve the management problems or issues, help management to keep informed on and responsive to public opinion, define and emphasize the responsibility of management to serve the public interest, help management keep abreast of and effectively utilize change, serving as an early warning system to help anticipate, train, and use research and ethical communication technique and its principal tool. So what we're going to look at here is that as the academic point of view, what they define is that they are maintain a mutual lines of communications. What they're trying to do is between an organization, and its publics. And what do they do? And how do they doing it? Is they trying to use different communication techniques. So by far, if academic point of view, we're trying to define and what we are thinking of how public relations can be defined is the management communication between an organization and publics. And there can be, or there must be, two-way communication, which means if I am an entity A, and what I wanted to do is I want to issue or publish an information to a public. What I really wanted to do is I want the public to react back to my informations through feedback. This is how we can say is they are communication between an organization and publics and two-way communications. So, practitioner. So we have one of the definition according to the UK Charter Institute of Public Relations, CIPR, is everything is about reputations. And the result of what you do, what you say and what others say about you. Public relations is the discipline which look after reputation with the aim of earning, understanding, and support and influencing opinions and behavior. It is the plan and sustained effort to establish and maintain goodwills and mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. So by far we're looking at the kind of definition about PR from PR practitioner is that they look directly inside of reputations. So usually most of the people are trying to think how do they maintain the reputations. So what inside of this kind of definition we can see that what we can do is that we're trying to persuade and influence. Where the reputation is we're trying to keep positive image. Which means whatever the information you're trying to say to the public, you're trying to keep them positive and trying to get the public to respond back in a positive way. Which means same thing at A, toward to B, toward the public. A positive information. Let's say he appointing a new managers, he appointing a new directors, they're achieving a reward from an authorities. So what do they wanted the public to do is they will react back to the company A as a very positive image and positive response. So we can see to increase reputations. So why do they really important? So what is the difference? What is the common things that the academic point of views and the PR practitioner saying about public relation activities, which can be seen that both of them trying to saying that they are both a communications. What they're trying to do is trying to maintain the relationship between an organization and the publics. Next thing they sharing in common is that they will have to use a different technique to communicate. But however, if we're looking at the differences between two of them, is that where academic point of view trying to saying that you can be established true and fair information, where you become an integrity and honesty with the public, whether you have negative or positive issues relating to your system. However, according to practitioner, nobody wants to issue any kind of negative information about the company. And the next thing is the difference is that academic point of view trying to use to communicate, and practitioner they are trying to influence. They're using different opinion, different tactics, different technique to influence the opinion and changing the behavior of it to drive a consumer or public behavior into more positive image. So let's look at how and why they're so important. So first of all, PR is very important to an organization is through brand credibilities. Brand credibilities can be saying whether you're intended to investing or calling for investor, or in order to increase your capitals. Investor intended to look at how good you are in the market, and they have high chance to increase profit, sales, and leads. Where if you are in line with the sales management, public relation, good image, good reputations, they can be able to influence the consumer to buy the products. Hence, that will increase your profit, sales, and leads. And they'll be able to change people's mind through, if you are very well known or reputed company, if you issue a certain information, a debating, a changing opinions, you might be able to change somebody's mind. They will think that you might right. They can be enhanced organization online presence. Nowadays, people are trying to go online, where we have IoTs, we have internet and everything. A good public relation techniques is they're trying to increase your coverage through different channels, for example, from social media, from news media, and from other influencers, in order to convince that you are a good company and you are very well-known company. They also can boost traffic, where you can collecting information from consumer via certain feedback, or you can be able to analyzing how people reacting to a certain information that you're giving on. Let's say they're giving you the ideas of introducing or establishing a new products. If you are well known enough, when you are publish a note or a press release online, they'll be able to see how the consumer trying to react to what happened, or they're trying to point out what's the key features, what are the competitive advantages between you and other companies. So as far as we know that an organization doesn't stand alone in the business, we know in a market, an organization they trying to do is trying to win over the market, and they're trying to creating a competitive advantages, and there's a lot of competitor within a market, and it doesn't stay that we may not think that the organization doesn't stand alone or very narrowly, because let's look at this. Let's say if you are a company A, and what you're going to do is you are selling phone. So different type of phone, they will have a different features. They will have hardware, that were building the phone, right? So we are thinking, why it doesn't stay alone? Let's say Samsung does not stand alone within Android devices, right? So they can be competing with other company, let's say Nokia, or any kind of phone or phone company from China, let's say Oppo, Huawei, Vivo, and so on. So they're playing on the same key features and they're trying to win over the market. Whatever they're trying to publishing a new products, what they're trying to find is that how do they compete with other competitors and trying to win over the consumer. That can be helping you to increase the sales, right? So why I'm saying it is not narrowly. For example, if you are an Android devices, you are selling phone. However, let's say a computers manufacturers like so what do they do? What do they sell? They're selling laptops, they're selling desktop. They might selling other things, but you are selling phones. But one day, they will join the market in order to selling phone. What I'm saying is that, let's look at this case. We are looking at Samsung case. They can versus with any computer or any kind of like peripheral manufacturers, for example, Razer or Asus. They're both computers and external devices manufacturers, but however they are joining the market to manufacturing phone that has the same features, that has the same, maybe the same hardware. However, what are they better than other Samsung devices is that they are customized their phone, that they have a distinctive features that support gaming. That's how when the phone is coming out, they are winning over the consumer. So those things are explaining the things like an organization doesn't stand alone in the business and trying to not thinking that they are competing narrowly. So it will be affected by different factors, some internal factor and external factors, and we also know that each and every single factor will have an interlink with the other factors, right? So we're looking at external environment. One of the very most common external environment that most of the marketings and most of the organization they does use is that they're using PES, which is political, economic, social technologies or technological. So what public relations need to be keep in mind with the external environment is that they needed to understand the external environment because it determines the futures, and most of the company they constantly scan for the external environment to identify the emerging issues, and having spot the issue early, precious times is bought for the organization to adjust itself to those issues, to engage with them and to influence their developments. So what we can see in here, let's pick one of the external environment that we have to look directly inside of it. Let's look at employment legislations. Look at this. So when we look at employment legislation is that, let's say we are running under certain labor law. So let's pick examples that we have to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, So which means we have a total of 40 hours a week, right? So what happens if the legislation or the labor law is changing? It's changing. Nowadays, people are trying to moving forward into working less hours, less day, right? So let's say if they changing, they switch, they changing it. Let's say they want to work 5 hours a day. Same thing is 5 days a week. Which means in the total of like, let's say 25 hours a week. And whatever exceeding 25 hours, you have to pay them the OT, right? The overtime. So what happens if that kind of things here is embedded directly into the latest labor law, let's say the new labor law, which means nowadays that you will have to work 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 25 hours a week, in a total of 25 hours a week, but you are still using the very old system. What happened in here? You might be chased by different entities. First of all, you might be chased by the authorities, maybe from the governments, questioning about why would you doing it? Why would you haven't changing it? Right? The next things that you will be chased is by the employees. Why? Because they have to work more, but they earn less. Because if they're working 40 hours a week, it's been very normal. What if they have to work 40 hours a week? With a new law system, is they will have another 15 hours of OT, which means you have to pay them in a different rate. And without keeping in mind or keeping very track with the external environment, what you will suffer is that the employee has a conflict with you. And what will happen if a conflict is happening? They might not work. Because they disagree with the new term and conditions. They will demonstrate, going for a strike, stop working. They become ideals employees. So those things can affecting your sales, because you cannot produce any kind of products, and they will affecting directly your sales. The next thing you might be chased in here is that you will be chased by the journalists. Publishing, those guys will publishing all kind of press release, all kind of news, documents related directly into your company, questioning about why you haven't implemented the new system. So hence in here, if you didn't keep track with the external environment and didn't inform within an organization in time, something might happen and you may caught yourself into a crisis. So those things are really need to be kept in mind if you are intended to think of an external environment. Right. So next thing, what happened into we pick another example like social change. If social or lifestyle change or any kind of purchasing habit is changing, so they demand more, they require more features, they want it to do more, they want you to get better customer services. And by the time if you are receiving such an information, you have to react to an information, trying to reviewing it. Why do a customer think about your company in such a negative way? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna think and you're gonna have to do another research, both internals and external, and find out the solution and advise the board of directors or maybe directors or chairman or any person who are higher position than you, and they have a power and ability to changing the strategy of the companies. All right. Next thing that we are looking at